the Penguin, one of Batman's most dangerous enemies. And this is his story.
Wah, wah, wah.
Hey guys, welcome back to Panel to Panel here on Comic Universe, the only nerd-centric thing you need in your life. Oh yeah, we're not doing that.
Sorry.
You gotta drink it like...
I just sometimes like to throw some monkey wrenches and see how he handles it on the video.
Well.
And we don't get paid for sponsorship yet, so no one's getting any free sponsorship from us, so I hid what I was drinking. And it wasn't vodka, I promise.
Anyway, so here on Panel to Panel, we are going to be back at DC with a villain story. And this is going to be talking a comic featuring my favorite Batman villain, which whenever I say my...
The Joker! Oh, no?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No.
That seems to be everyone's, but that's mine.
Well, mine is the Penguin.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Show them the cover, man.
Yeah, the Penguin. This comic is written by Gregg Hurwitz, and the artwork is done by Simon Kurdansky. This comic is awesome.
Pain and Prejudice, right?
Yeah, Penguin, Pain and Prejudice. This is the origin of Penguin, or a version of the origin. And this is great. This is one of the reasons why I love Penguin. I mean, I've always dug Penguin, but this was the comic that really solidified him as my number one. Because for the longest time, it was either going to be Killer Croc or maybe someone else. I always surprise people with my ranking of the Batman villains.
Which we will have to do someday.
Yeah. So this comic is pretty much the Penguin, Oswald, in a day-to-day life, and also getting gifts for his mother in the most brutal way if possible, but also him discovering love from a blind woman. And Dubs, my man, what did you think of this?
Pleasantly surprised. Like I had mentioned to you in just casual conversation, I love this book, but there are things about it I don't like. And it's not that I necessarily they're bad. They're actually good. They're great, to be honest with you. And I think most people will disagree, but me, I have this thing, is the stigma about Batman's villains, that not all of them deserve or warrant or should be found in Arkham Asylum, if you will. Not all of them are insane. And he, at first you go, well, C-Dubs, man, like, he has this infatuation with fowl and birds and penguins. The dude is clearly insane. Sure, he's a little effed in the head, but I always viewed Penguin as he's just a little wacky, more so than crazy, if you will. But this kind of shows a little more into his psyche, where he is a little kind of more fucked up in the head, and it called for the F-bomb there, because the first panel, or not the first panel, but on the first page, shows a really effed up situation where he clearly shows he's a penguin and he can't fly, if you will. And we're talking him as a baby kind of being dropped just because of how he looks. Mom and dad get him and they're like, what the hell? And whoop, drop him on his head, if you will, type of thing. And it was just like, oh, it was shocking. And right from that get-go, I knew where they were going. I was like, oh, man. And he had a tortured past, but you didn't just know how. More so, I was just always thinking he was bullied because he looked ugly, but he was more than bullied, man. The dude was tortured. But it's really good, though. It's really done well. The art is absolutely beautiful, especially, like I had mentioned to you, when I show him reliving his childhood, like his memories, they're done in this beautiful haze, like this bluish and orange haze that kind of just, this is like obviously, because he's not also a kid in the flashbacks, but you kind of see how he's treated, like even when he's using the bathroom, he's poked fun of. Like they're like, he looks like he's a penguin sitting on an egg, and he's like, I can't even poop in peace. It kind of looks like, and
yeah,
and he mentions he kind of found companionship and friendship and anywhere he could find it, and where he found it was from
his birds,
pigeons, and fowl. So you kind of see the connection, and his brothers tortured him, and his father rejected him, and he has this undying love as almost Norman Bates style love for his mom.
Yeah. And that's kind of the odd part, but it kind of makes sense that Penguin would be this kind of messed up because his mother was the only person who gave him any love. What's also fun about this comic in its own weird way is that even though, yes, this is the gangster Penguin, there's also a bit of the supervillain Penguin in here, because his whole thing of making Gotham pay is sending robot penguins to bomb places where children live. Okay. That's pretty much Batman Returns, but instead of live penguins, it's robot penguins.
Right, exactly. But yeah, that part's pretty cool. You get this look up of this giant Batman suit of armor mech type thing.
Yeah.
In the one of the splash pages there. It's pretty cool looking. Also, really interesting is there's a scene, a few panels where it felt almost Hugo Strangeous more so than Penguin, where he's thinking about himself as Batman, and they're showing him maybe trying on the suit and what he would look like a little skinnier, if you will.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting, and Joker randomly pops up here and there. That was kind of like, whoa, this you get to see Joker in a bra.
Yeah, and he's torturing or about to have sex with a goat.
Yeah, you're not quite sure what I mean. So we're talking Joker at his absolute wackiest in this. But overall, man, this is a really, really good book. Really good take on him. I would like it to be the definite origin, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, comics will always try to reboot or retcon certain things. But this was really good. Batman is treated like the antagonist, and you want to see, in a weird way, him succeed because he's finally found love with this woman, and it's actually a very sweet romance between them, between him and this woman. But knowing the Penguin, he has the perfect way to mess it up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. I mean, and again, like I had mentioned to you, man, another thing you get from this is there's a few quotes out there that show about villains. A hero's only as good as his villain. That's one of them. And then you have the one that the best villains are the ones where they think they're the actual heroes, right? And this is one of those type of stories where you almost feel like, Penguin has a point, man. He did nothing from the day one, from the day he was born. He was dropped on his head because he had a freaking long nose. And he was just a little odd looking. Nothing that couldn't be fixed in the future, But it's clearly that, as he was growing, he was clearly tortured and made fun of and humiliated, that it really took offense to him. And if this happened to any one of us, you can we've all been bullied. Everyone's been made fun of at some point in their life. And sometimes it's easy to play it off as a joke when it's coming from a genuinely just ha-ha, or you're, stop being a dick type of thing. But, sometimes when you're really bullied, it really can have a certain effect on you. So you kind of see where Penguin's coming from, and you almost want to root for him, but then you kind of realize
he's kind of a monster.
Yeah, he is kind of a monster. And he may have been built into what he becomes, if you will, tugged along, but the end game, and Penguin ultimately is a monster. And it's not just in the stature, it's just he's a monster. He could be a horror movie villain if he wanted to be, with some of the things he does, and the way he treats people, and the fear that some people have of him, because it's so funny. He grew, he went from being beat up because he was the runt, if you will, and tortured and beat up by his brothers and ridiculed by kids in school and things like that, to where there's this awesome scene where Penguin shows that he may be a short, stout, fat, ugly-looking dude, but this dude's he bumps him by mistake, and he's like, "You stupid little fat at," and he goes,
that's Cobblepot.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. My stupid mouth won't say anything," or something to that effect.
And Oswald's like, "Oh, it's fine. Move on."
He's like, "Yeah, you're about to die anyway." He in the back of his mind.
And then, because this is the thing, is that we see multiple times that Penguin doesn't have to touch you to hurt you.
Right.
He just has to put things in. He's kind of like Fisk, but the thing is, difference with Fisk is that Fisk will flat out kill you.
Right.
He won't do what Penguin does, which will destroy your life, which he does.
And let you just live in your misery. Yeah. And you get to see Penguin kind of do that. And we didn't touch too much, but there's when I mentioned that he has this weird relationship with his mother's catatonic at this point or stage in her life. And he's killing people to steal their jewelry. This, classic egg themed, granted it's a dragon egg, but this egg themed jewel that he brings to his mother, and things to that nature. And he's like giving her a bath and giving her little trinkets and just kind of still not dressing her up, but dolling her up, if you will. And it's not like he's like in love with her in that aspect or anything, but it is really creepy and eerie. And let me tell you, I dealt with my mother. I've had to help her take a bath before, and it's hard to see your parent in that situation, but it's really creepy. And then there's the scene where it's implied that his dad maybe raped his mother while he laid on the bed. You're just like, man, this is just some fucked up shit. I'm sorry.
And
I try not to curse on these videos, but this is one of those ones where it's just like, oh my god.
The other thing is that we do see that he did murder his brothers, and how he did it is horrifying.
Yeah, it is. It's predetermined, it's plotted out and executed. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm angry, I'm gonna kill you. It was like, there was some thought to what he did. It's like, that's even scarier when you think about how to do it,
Yeah. Also, side note, that there's a great ending comic that has no tie to this, but it does have the same thing called from the Joker's Asylum comics, which was kind of like Tales from the Crypt if Joker was telling stories about Batman villains. Mm-hmm. And the one with the Penguin is written actually by Jason Aaron. Mm-hmm. It's really fun. It's probably the best one of the first series, and yeah, you can check this out. This comic is great. This came out like at the start of New 52. You don't need any New 52 like priors or anything. This is really good. This is actually the comic that actually got Gregg Hurwitz, because he had done other stuff with Moon Knight over at Marvel. This was his big thing to come over here, and he did stuff in Batman Dark Knight, where he had wrote like just great stories with Scarecrow, and then the Mad Hatter one is amazing. He did a Clayface story, Man Bat. He did all these like story arcs with different Batman villains, and they were all fantastic. I think Hurwitz is a very underrated Batman writer, honestly, and I wanted to see more of him in the New 52 and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. He does a pretty good job, especially here in this one. I would say though, I mean, if you're a Batman Rogues, villain fan, especially obviously if you're a Penguin fan, if you're a Batman fan in general, this is definitely a pickup, a buy. I would own this if I was any of you guys. Whether you're collecting the back issues or picking it up in trade. How much was it roughly?
This was about $14. So
$15 to get this unique take on the Penguin, a good backstory. And it's funny, I think in some ways it kind of parallels to the first panel to panel that we did with Doc Ock.
Yeah.
They're both, good tales of a villain that doesn't necessarily get the limelight as, like, let's say the Joker or the Goblin. Maybe just under, there's someone who lives in the shadow of those two villains. But guys, yeah, I would definitely pick it up if I were you guys. I was lucky enough to be able to borrow it from him. But if I ever do see it in trade, I would add it to my collection. And especially, man, if you're at a con or anything like that, I know if you live here in Orlando, MegaCon's coming up, it's definitely one I would put on the list, guys.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts or anything?
This comic really shows that, Oswald is like, and this is why I kind of sympathize with him, because he's like, I kind of have this whole thing of, wanting to always prove myself or always be like I want to be the more, and this is going to sound really vain and egotistical, but, you try living with my family and you'll figure it out, that, I feel like I have to compete for attention, against, my brother and others, and I'm not saying I'm gonna kill him. I'm not like, people are gonna think, oh, are you gonna pull a Cobblepot? No, I'm not. I'm just saying that I kind of I know where he's coming from, I wouldn't go to that extreme, but
this got really dark and twisted all of a sudden, like only you can do that. Anyway, no, but I can understand what you mean. Sometimes, and I'm the older sibling in my relationship, and it was kind of vice versa, where the baby was coddled and my brother was always looked at, and no matter when he did anything wrong, my mom just kind of would overlook it, and he's just a baby, he didn't know any better, and his father, my stepfather, was never really liked or accepted by my family in general, meaning the surround. So I understand where you're coming from, and it can be kind of hard when dealing with a sibling. in that case. And again, I can kind of fit with him on that. I wasn't the one bullied, but I was the one where it's like I'm on the straight and narrow. I'm doing everything that's should be done right.
Yeah, well, I didn't have the best school life where I came from, so I can understand.
We all come from different tropes, but we can understand the hardship of just not being accepted or recognized for your hard work and efforts and things like that. So no, I definitely understand. But guys, back to this comic. There's like, if you're a Penguin fan, this should have already been in your pull list, if you will. You should have already owned this, to be honest with you guys. Artwork is great, writing is great, character, it's true to the character for the most part. And if you've picked it up, if you've already read it, and guys, let us know what your top 5 favorite villains are, minus Joker, if you like Penguin or not, and don't forget to let us know in the comments below. And
see you once more. Oh, but before we do that, this is our comic for next week in anticipation for Deadpool 2. Deadpool versus Carnage. This is going to be anticipation for not only Deadpool 2, but for Venom.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on the video. Click that notification bell to be a part of our notification squad. And guys, till next time.
See you once more in the universe.